so sweet. The things which have happened 5,500 years ago, we discuss even till today. And we all have smiles on our face. For example, Sri Krishna was caught stealing how many years ago? More than 5,000 years ago. And he was caught, and every time he was caught, he would give an excuse. Like tomorrow night, we are going to discuss one pastime of Krishna where he was caught doing something. And then he gave so many reasons why he did it, after refuting that he never did it. So for that, you have to come to CNJ. That's the topic for tomorrow. What it is, you have to come and discuss. So Krishna would be caught stealing so many times. And the gopis would say, hey, Mother Yashoda, do you know what your son does? He comes to our place and he breaks all these butter pots and steals all this butter away. Mother Yashoda would, so much authority and faith in Krishna, she would say, what do you think? I don't feed him butter at my home? People steal because they lack something. In my house, it's first class butter and yogurt and milk products and sweets. I'm the queen of Vrindavan. He's the future king of Vrindavan. And you think he doesn't have anything? He has to come to your house to steal your third class butter? The Brajagopi, the faith that you're showing is third class, Mother Yashoda. Because you can ask this gopi, what do you say? She nudges the second gopi, and the second gopi says, absolutely. In fact, what you said was an understatement. What did he do in your house? She said, he broke all the butter pots. Okay, I'll continue from there. In my house, this Krishna came, and we had stacked up piles and piles and columns and rows of butter pots, and he could climb on all top of that. He made pyramids, groups and groups of pyramids. And he would climb on one gopa on top of the other gopa, on top of the other gopa, on top of the other gopa, and they would make up this big mountain. And Krishna would be on the peak of all of that, taking his fist and breaking the butter pot for all of that to come down. Well, Krishna always had a problem that he was dark-skinned. Because Balaram would make fun of him. Balaram would tell Krishna, can I tell you a secret? Krishna would say, yes, please. Whatever you tell me is as good as the words of the Vedas. That's what my father told me. Balaram looks at Krishna and he says, okay, I'll give you a piece of the Vedas then. Have you noticed, Krishna? Mother Yashoda is very fair complexioned. And Nanda Maharaj is fair complexioned too. Have you ever thought of and Krishna is very innocent. He's performing his human-like pastimes. He says, I don't understand what you're saying. Yes, both of them are so beautiful and effulgent. What are you talking about? Balaram says, yeah, of course, but did you know that you knocked your son? And that's like a thunderbolt which burst the balloon of Krishna's preconceived notions and faith that he's the son of Mother Yashoda. Tears streaming down his eyes, he looks at Balaram and he says, what are you telling me? I was convinced that I was their son. Balaram looks at Krishna and he says, I'm older than you, I have some experience. I've seen this world more than you. You were actually got and purchased from an open market. Not this Balaram. You were got from a market, you don't belong to them. But they can't tell you this. You're a child, you can't take this. But I'm your older brother, I have to give you all this advice. So Krishna is almost choking up, making all this face. He has more tears on his face than his face itself. And he goes running and he's pulling Mother Yashoda's sari and he's not able to even speak. There's lumps and the rocks and rocks and rocks and mountains of emotions stuck on the pathway of his throat. The Acharyas described that's one reason he lifted Giriraj. Because he wanted to once and for all lift all the rocks of misconception that was stuck on his throat. So Mother Yashoda Yashoda looked at Krishna and said, what happened? Krishna looks at Mother Yashoda and he says, get me married very quickly. I want to get married. What? Get me married to a very beautiful girl. I just want to solve this problem once and for all. What's the problem? He said, Balaram looks at me. And in front of everyone he makes fun of me. You send Balaram away with me so that he can protect me. But I need protection from him. My friends protect me from Balaram. Get me married. I want to get married to a very beautiful girl. Mother Yashoda says, so how's that going to solve your problem? Krishna says, there are many, many angles to this, oh mother. The first angle is that I will have one more person on my side to support me in this battle. The second thing is, it will solve all problems. I'll tell Balaram, I don't care. I don't care if I was got from the market. Look, I have a very beautiful girl with me. So Mother Yashoda smiles at Krishna, and Krishna's like 3.5. It's like 3.5 because this is chapter 8 of Canto 10 and chapter 9 is Damodar Leela when he was 3. So he was 2.5, 3. Max 3. So Mother Yashoda looks at Krishna and she says, okay, do you have any specific girl in mind? And Krishna says, not really, but in Indian culture, it's not the boy and the girl, the families get married together. And I've seen one thing, that Nanda Baba, who's my father, has very close friendship with Prabhu Maharaj. And Omaya, you have very close friendship with Kirtila Devi. So just for your benefit, I suggest, how about Radharani? Mother Yashoda looks at Krishna. She says, it's already sunset. It's time for you to go to sleep. Krishna forgets. He forgets all that he said. He said, yes, mother. It's time for me to go to sleep. And then Krishna goes on to sleep. Wasn't that sweet? Now all of this happened 5,500 years ago. But we still have smiles and laughters and ever fresh emotions on our face. Because Srimad Bhagavatam tadaiva ramyam. This Srimad Bhagavatam is ever fresh and very attractive. Ruchiram. Navam navam. It's ever fresh. The more we speak about it, the more we want to speak about it. It's that fresh. In this world we read the newspaper, it's the same news. The details vary, the principles are the same. It's the same extortion, it's the same kidnapping, it's the same murder, it's the same terrorist attack. The details may vary, the places may vary, the persons may vary, the venues may vary, the stories may vary, but the principles are the same. But Srimad Bhagavatam, the details are the same, the principles are the same, but the emotions are ever fresh. So I was saying, all of this speaking in New Jersey makes a lot of sense because Krishna katha is ever new. So everything about New York and New Jersey, New Vrindavan, New England, New Hampshire, New Orleans. Let's keep New Orleans out, but at least the other new. What is actually new in this world is Krishna katha. Everything else is stale. So that was just the introduction to our talk. The talk hasn't begun yet. So with that introduction, keeping all our attentions together for the next 1 hour or so, gearing up to the Janmashtami, Krishna's appearance, we will speak one small section that we've all heard about. We've all heard about it. Even the kids have heard about it, probably even seen on television. Little Krishna or the cartoon series, cartoon books, coloring books. We've all heard of this pastime, but we'll hear it in a way that we've never heard before, as presented by our acharyas. So in today's discussion, we'll unpack the pastime of Krishna in the prison house and being taken by Vasudeva Maharaj to Gokul Mahavan. Everything that we've heard. But now from the lips and the vision of Jiva Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Sanatan Goswami, and a very special Acharya called Hari Suri. He comes from Nasik, Maharashtra, and he was initiated in the line of Vallabhacharya, Pushti Marg. And his viewpoints are unmatched. The way he looks at perspectives, his viewpoints are ever fresh and very, very tasty. Like, for example, I was recently having a discussion with one of my very senior and very interesting godbrother, His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu. And he was telling me a very beautiful story about an English poet by the name Hamming. And this English poet Hamming was having a walk with his best friend. And they saw these electric poles, and they saw electric wires, and they saw a few crows and pigeons sitting on those wires. This poet Hamming nudged his friend, and he asked him, "What do you see?" And the friend said, "Well, I see an electric pole, I see a few electric wires, and I see a few birds." The poet Hamming smiled, and he said, "That's all?" And the friend was looking, and he said, "Maybe the sky and a few buildings." "Why don't you tell me what you see?" And he was a poet. So this poet Hamming, he said, "These electric poles are actually the ends of the book. You see, the pages, you have the central line and you have the end line. This is actually the start and finish of a page. And these electric wires are actually lines that you write on. And the crows and the pigeons are different grammatical expressions. Some of them are the commas, some of them are the full stops, some of them the exclamatory mark, some of them the question marks. And now, what I'm going to see ahead is the poetry that's going to be written on this." So the point to be made is that even a material poet has a very unique and distinct viewpoint and vision in everything. Right? What to speak of spiritual poets? Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Hari Suri, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all of these acharyas, including our Srila Prabhupada, are not just pure devotees, they are also poetically very, very deep. So what they see is not just the pastime, they also have a poetic viewpoint to every aspect of the pastime, which makes it even more relishable. There was another British poet. It's very interesting. There was another British poet. Have you heard of W.H. Longfellow? Yeah, very famous poet. So when he was a child, in his school they taught him a story about how Jesus touched water and made it red wine. That was the story that he was taught. He was about 5 or 6. So all the kids were told the story and they were asked to write a few pages on the basis of that story. So this child was just completely distracted. The teacher took a couple of rounds and said, "Child, what happened?" He said, "Well, I don't have a piece of paper." "Okay, I'll give you one. Go ahead." Couple of more rounds, he's still seated. "What happened? Why are you distracted?" "Well, I don't have a pencil to write with." "Okay, I'll give you one. Go ahead." Couple of more rounds. "What happened?" "I'm finished. I'm done." "Look around. They're still scribbling. And you started the last in this whole classroom. And you're done already?" He said, "Yeah, I'm done." Teacher said, "I want to have a look." Opened up a crumpled piece of paper. Put it back and said, "I want to see your father tomorrow. Call your father." Now this child was shivering because he thought it was something very, very serious. The father came the next day. The teacher said, "Never ever tell your son to write a prose. He is miserable." But as far as poetry is concerned, he's priceless. But you want to know what he wrote into that piece of paper? The story was how Jesus touched water and turned it into red wine. And other kids have all written the different details and the movements in the story and emotions and all of that. And this poet just wrote one line. Water saw its master and blushed. Finished. The story is done. So if material poets can be so talented, so skilled, and their vision and viewpoint in material things can be so distinct and so profound, what to speak of those who are pure devotees and poetically embellished? These are these acharyas. These acharyas that we see on the picture on our altar are not mere mortals. Their works, even from the linguistic perspective, keep aside the spiritual perspective of the Bhagavatam. Even as a linguist studying Sanskrit, if you have to analyze the work of these acharyas, it's mind-blowing. The way they could comment, the way they could see things is just astounding. So we'll see this whole pastime that we just described. It's a small box in the whole Janmashtami pastime. But today we'll see it from a poetic perspective. It will be devotionally rich, no doubt, but from a poetic perspective, from the viewpoints of these acharyas. Is that making sense? That's okay? Okay, I shouldn't disturb you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I request all of you to, if you can look onto your phones and pull up a certain verse, we'll start discussing from there, so that the appreciation of the Bhagavatam goes higher. So we'll be discussing Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 47. Just to repeat, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 47. No Facebook, please. True Facebook means keeping Srimad Bhagavatam book in front of our face. That's Facebook. Is everybody ready? Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 47. So, can I read it? That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Just timing. So, let's sing this verse. Yeah? Not that verse. That's also a good verse. No doubt. Nothing against it. Okay. Everybody's pulled up the verse? 47. Yes, bro. Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 47. Chapter 47 is Brahmani. No. Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 47. 10:3:47. Is everybody ready with the verse? Okay, so let's sing this verse. Kindly chant after me. Tatascha shorer bhagavat prachodita. Tatascha shorer bhagavat prachodita. Tatascha shorer bhagavat prachodita. Tatascha shorer bhagavat prachodita. Sutam samadaya sasutika katha. volunteers to sing Prabhuji's Mataji's?
Tata sasauri bhagavat prachorita.
Tata sasauri bhagavat prachorita.
Sutam samadhaya suti kagraha.
Sutam samadhaya suti kagraha.
Yada bahirghantum yesataraha.
Yada bahirghantum yeshataraha.
Yayo gamaya jatinandadashaya.
Yayo gamaya jatinandadashaya. Any Matajis? Any girls?
Tata sasauri
Tata sasauri bhagavat prachorita.
samadhaya sasuti kagraha.
Sutam samadhaya suti kagraha.
Bahirghantum yesataraha.
Yada bahirghantum yeshataraha.
Yayo gamaya jatinandadashaya.
Yayo gamaya jatinandadashaya. Very nice. Exactly when Vasudev, being inspired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to take the newborn child from the delivery room, Yogamaya, the Lord's spiritual energy, took birth as the daughter of the wife of Maharaj Nanda. Is this clear? So basically the point of Vasudeva Maharaj desiring to take Krishna out and the simultaneous appearance of the Yogamaya of the Yogamaya appearance in Gokul Mahavan is described. There are two more verses next, so we'll just chant all of them together, then we'll start discussing. So 48 and 49 now. Tayarita pratyaya sarva vrittishu. Tayarita pratyaya sarva vrittishu. Tayarita pratyaya sarva vrittishu. Tayarita pratyaya sarva vrittishu. Tvasteshu paureshvapi shayiteshvatha. Tvasteshu paureshvapi shayiteshvatha. we all chant it together?
Okay, yes.
That's comfortable? Let's chant it together. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Tayarita praya sarvamritishu paseshu bodeshu ishaiteshu parasya sarva vita duratyaya priha kapataya sakila shindalai Krishna vahe vasureva swayam vayamaya sarvamorave shesho Thank you. So now the translation continues. By the influence of Yoga Maya, all the doorkeepers fell fast asleep, their senses unable to work, and the other inhabitants of the house also fell deeply asleep. When the sun rises, the darkness automatically disappears. Similarly, when Vasudev appeared, the closed doors, which were strongly pinned with iron and locked with iron chains, opened automatically. Since the clouds in the sky were mildly thundering and showering, Anantanag, who's Anantashesh, Balaram, an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, followed Vasudev, beginning from the door, with hoods expanded to protect Vasudev and the Transcendental Child. As the purport, Sheshanag is an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose business is to serve the Lord with all necessary paraphernalia. When Vasudev was carrying the child, Sheshanag came to serve the Lord and protect him from the mild showers of rain. Okay, so that was the reading. Now comes the unpacking of these 3 verses. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
I would highly encourage for this session, for those who are inspired, if you would want to take down all those points that sticks with you and that you want to carry home. I'll give you an example before we begin, so you can decide whether or not to take notes. The example, since we just celebrated Balaram Jayanti, I'll give you an example from Sri Balaram's pastimes. The famous pastime of Dhenukasur. We've all heard the story? All the kids? We were at Sri Radha Gopinath temple recently. We had His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj speak on this pastime for Balaram Jayanti. And we were all sitting and taking notes. Writing. It's like completely jam-packed audience. So we were like seated like this. And in the middle of this pastime, while describing the donkey, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj made the actual sound of the Dhenukasur, and we were like, oh, what? Where did that come from? Literally the pen stopped. So I'm just reminded of the sound. I'm not going to do it. It's pretty natural for me. I'm not going to do it. So in the Dhenukasur pastime, Hari Sori, one of the commentators, the poetic devotional commentators that I was talking about, he sees a very beautiful thing. He talks about the point where Balaram throws Dhenukasur and it hits the top, the tallest of the tal trees, and the tall trees fall one over another.